Hello, I'm Troy Finnegan, and I wanted to welcome you to another episode of BuffSports Live. Who's ready for some madness? And yes, of course I'm talking about March Madness. After a long regular season that we weren't sure at times we would get through, it's finally time for the fun stuff. Both the Buffs men's and women's basketball teams get postseason play started this weekend, and we're pumped! We'll start with the NCAA tournament game for the men's basketball team. Here's a look at the bracket. Colorado is playing against the Georgetown Hoyas tomorrow at 10:15 a.m. After a strong regular season that resulted in CU's highest winning percentage since 1969, the Buffs earned their highest NCAA tournament seed in school history. They're the number 5 seed in the East region. Colorado will be playing against a red-hot Georgetown team that is coming off of an improbable run through the Big East, knocking off top teams like Villanova and Creighton. ESPN says only 56% of fans expect Colorado to make it past the first round, and only 6% expect them to make it to the Sweet 16. Count former President Barack Obama as one of the doubters. He chose Georgetown to beat Colorado in the first round. Thanks, Mr. President. Tip-off is set for 10:15 on Saturday morning, and despite their low seed, head coach Tad Boyle is not taking the Hoyas lightly.
You know, the one thing I've learned from watching them, they're a true inside-out team. They got the Wahab kid inside, who's a really good low post scorer, but they've also got guys surrounding him that can shoot the three. So they're very balanced. And if you look at their scoring, you know, you had guys averaging, I think, four guys in double figures.
The Buffs women's basketball team just missed out on their first NCAA tournament appearance since 2013. They did accept a bid to the women's NIT tournament, where they will take on the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns today. After an up-and-down regular season that included a huge win over perennial powerhouse Stanford, CU and coach J.R. Payne will be looking to finish the season on a high note in the women's NIT tournament. By now, you all know McKinley Wright, the Buffs' senior point guard and team leader, dynamic and dominant on the court. Jamorko Pickett, a Georgetown forward, was asked how the Hoyas plan on competing with Wright. Pickett was confused by the question, and he asked, "Who's that?" McKinley responded with this statement.
I see a lot of people tweeting at me and sending me the stuff that the Georgetown kids said about him not knowing who I am or whatever. But, you know, for me, I don't feed into that type of stuff. You know, I do me. I play ball, and you know, I'm going to compete at the highest level. And, you know, for the people who don't know me, and they'll know me soon. You know, I'm just trying to go out there and win a basketball game. And
you know, Pickett has a point. McKinley Wright is only a 3-time first-team All-Pac-12 award winner with ridiculously great stats and several Colorado school records. It's understandable that someone might forget who he is. That's why this week we have a very challenging trivia question for you all. Good luck to everyone out there. We are wondering, who is McKinley Wright? And to make it easier on you, we've made it multiple choice. We'll have the answer for you at the end of the show. After food problems, Wi-Fi problems, protocols, and everything else that's wrong with the NCAA tournament bubbles, what else could possibly be going sideways? Don't go anywhere. Zoe Paulson is in studio to tell you after the break.
Deserves a second look. Michael taking off, the patented tongue comes out. Just in front of that line. Look at this, the double clutch, the rebound.
Pass on left wing, looks behind him, wide open, right wing, up top, open for three, fires.
Really good basketball, Mark. Unselfish, smart basketball.
Open for three, fires, nothing but nylon from downtown.
Now, the pandemic has forced everybody to make sacrifices, and the players are no different. In their respective NCAA tournament bubbles, players have been complaining this week about the food quality, or hotel food, as some have called it. Take a look at this tweet from Matt Norlander, who said one of the coaches is complaining about the fish in this photo. Players have also mentioned the poor Wi-Fi in rooms as a downside of the bubble. Can't be lagging in those war zone lobbies. On top of that, COVID restrictions in the hotels are predictably strict. Each team is designated to their own floor, and teams cannot leave their floor except for basketball activities and are equipped with tracking devices to keep them in check. But the conditions might be worse for one group of athletes. In a year defined by a fight for equality, the NCAA took a significant step back this week with regard to their tournament facilities. Here's Zoe Paulson with a breakdown.
Here's a general question. Do women work out? What about women who play elite collegiate level basketball? Apparently not, according to the NCAA. Here is a picture of the full weight room for the men's teams to use at the March Madness tournament bubble. It's a stacked room, perfect for actual college athletes. Now let's take a look at the women's weight room in their own bubble. Yeah, that is actually the entire workout facility. You can see maybe 10 yoga mats, so that way a few of these ladies can be relaxed before they play. And a rack of about 12 weights. Let's do the math here. 64 teams, 12 players on each team, which adds up to a lot more than 12. I went to a small high school, and I can honestly say that our weight room was significantly better than that. I have a bigger weight room than that in my basement at home. The NCAA acknowledged this mistake on Thursday, saying that the women's tournament is at a smaller facility, so they can't have as big of a gym. Yes, good thing they cut back on the workout facility. Heaven forbid these college athletes work out before the biggest games of the season. Not only is this obviously ridiculous, it is also literally illegal. There's a line in the NCAA Title IX legislation that, quote, requires equal provisions of equipment and supplies. So the women of collegiate sports might need a little more than a feeble excuse from the NCAA on this matter. And as for me, I just have to say, come on. It's 2021. Can we please take women seriously?
Amazing that the NCAA did that. Happy Women's History Month. Thanks, Zoe. Now that the season of March Madness is upon us, let's take a look back at a little Buffs basketball history. This will be the 14th inclusion of the women's basketball team in the postseason in the past 33 years. The first time was in 1988 when the Buffs made it to the tournament, but lost out in the first round to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. The last time they made it was in 2013, but again lost out to the Kansas Jayhawks. In terms of men's basketball history, 2021 marks the 5th time the Buffs have made it into the tournament under the leadership of Tad Boyle. Their first appearance with Boyle as head coach was in 2012, where the Buffs made it into the second round before losing to Baylor. Since then, they also participated in the 2013, 2014, 2016 tournaments. Call him Taddy! Prior to 2012, the Buffs had only made 2 appearances in the championship in the past 42 years, in 2003 and 1997. In 1997, losing to North Carolina, and in 2003, losing to Michigan State in the first round. Though the Buffs have yet to win a single NCAA tournament, maybe this year will be the first. What do you all think? Ever watching a great game and your stomach starts to rumble? You feel like you need a delicious snack? We'll help you out with that right after the break.
They were nervous and inexperienced, as new faces looking to achieve greatness. As the years went on, they grew confident in their abilities.
Maybe. Yes, sir!
Now they look to guide others in the same pursuit.
There it is! Can you believe it?
All are welcome to be featured on the biggest stage.
Is it his time?
We invite you to discover what you're capable of at BuffSports Live.
We're back now, and I'm starting to get a little hungry. I've got an appetite for an NCAA tournament victory and some Gourmet Vinay.
Welcome into Gourmet Vinay. It's NCAA tournament week. The Buffaloes are in the tournament, and you might be looking for some snacks to eat while they're playing tomorrow against Georgetown. And luckily for us, our chef, Jared, is in the kitchen with us. Jared, what are we making today?
We're going to make some cheeseburger bites today.
All right, so let's get started. You've got some ground beef in the bowl right there, and then to that, what have you added?
I've added some garlic powder, salt, pepper, oregano, a little bit of red pepper and some garlic salt to flavor it up.
And then you're going to put the cheese in the middle of those, right?
Yeah, I'm going to roll it into a ball and the cheese is going to be in the middle.
All right, so show us how you do it.
Nice chunk of beef here and flatten it out.
Now, you haven't measured any of this, right?
No, just...
This is all going from the dome.
Yes. And I'm going to take a little bit of cheese. I usually go with mild cheddar.
Okay.
Nothing too much, but it still gives it a nice flavor. And just roll it into a ball. And then you're going to want to bread it.
Okay. So you got the 3 stations here. One is flour,
yes.
One is egg, and then breadcrumbs here.
Yep. The breadcrumbs are flavored with salt and pepper, just to give it a little more flavor. You just want to cover it with flour, move over to the egg, and then just roll it in the breadcrumbs, cover it up.
Oh yeah, look at that. All right, Jared, so we've got 13 of these ready, so now you're going to toss them into the air fryer, right?
Yes. Yep, 20 minutes at 370.
All right.
And then they should be perfect.
All right, so it's been 20 minutes. We took these out of the air fryer. They look beautiful, by the way. So, Jared, you want to cut some open and show us how you eat them?
Yeah.
So usually you eat them with ketchup, right?
Yeah, I use ketchup for these.
Good American cheeseburger, and you can enjoy that while you're watching the Buffaloes in the NCAA tournament. The game is tomorrow. Buffaloes beat Georgetown. What do you think?
I think so.
They beat Georgetown, then lose to Florida State? Is that your guess?
I have them winning it all. So.
Okay, the Buffaloes win it all. You heard it here first. Watch the game, enjoy some food. We'll see you later on Gourmet Vinay.
Don't touch that dial. Rapid Fire is next.
And we'll be right back on BuffSports Live.
All right, 3, 2, 1, we're clear.
Hey Rach, have you heard about the BuffSports Live desk troll?
There's no such thing, Jake.
Oh my God. In 1992, he bit an anchor's foot clean off during the show.
No way.
She mispronounced a name! We're back on BuffSports Live. Unbelievable women's basketball game last night.
Wendy B. Kenner was amazeballs.
Well, the show must go on. She had a triple-double in 60 minutes of play as the Buffs went on to win.
Hello, my name is Gus Oswald and welcome to the hottest, fastest show in the U.S. First up, today we got women's basketball at 1, trying to cool down some Cajun when they take on the Louisiana Lafayette Raging Cajuns in the first round of the WNIT. Second, the men's basketball team will try to show the Georgetown Hoyas they're barking up the wrong tree when they match up at 10:15 a.m. tomorrow morning. Next, we're heading to soccer as they play Utah and hope to leave the Utes salty when they leave Salt Lake City. And finally, the lacrosse team will try and mow down those trees when they play the number 20 ranked Stanford Cardinal at 1 p.m. Saturday. That concludes Rapid Fire this week. Back to you, Troy.
I know. This week's trivia question was really difficult. But don't worry, the wait is over. We can finally reveal the answer. Remember, we asked you, who is McKinley Wright? And the answer is choice A. The other options were Mother Teresa, Philip Lindsay, and the one and only advisor for BuffSports Live, Charlie Mangano. So if Jamorko Pickett is watching this, don't worry. We figured out who McKinley Wright is. Now for our tweet of the week. Oregon and Colorado are 2 of only 17 schools in the country that sent their football teams to a bowl game and their men's basketball team to the NCAA tournament. What a successful year it has been for Colorado sports, establishing them as a top-tier athletic program in the nation. We would be remiss if we didn't give a Buff legend, running back Philip Lindsay, a proper send-off. Yesterday, the Denver Broncos and Lindsay mutually agreed to part ways this offseason, meaning that next season will likely be the first season that Lindsay has not played football for a Colorado team. Coming out of Denver South High School, Lindsay spent 4 years as a running back here at CU, where he tallied over 4,800 scrimmage yards, a CU school record, and 39 touchdowns. Lindsay was a staple of a Buffs team that won the Pac-12 South in 2016 and earned an appearance in the Alamo Bowl. He was then picked up as a free agent by the Broncos, where he quickly became the first undrafted rookie in NFL history to make a Pro Bowl as an offensive player. Wherever Lindsay's career takes him next, we at BuffSports Live wish him the best. That wraps up BuffSports Live for this week. This weekend, sit back, relax, make some food, and watch some March Madness. After missing out on the tournament last year, I can't think of a better way to spend a weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.